Well, good morning, everyone. How are you? And once again, welcome to another live this morning. And we want you to say hello. And we thank you for coming on with us as usual. We appreciate it. And I bet you Michael or Brahim. There's Brahim, number one. And Lori Lee, Ventura, California, number two. I guess, Michael, you're slow this morning. Wendy from Wasaga Beach. And Paul, how are you from Edmonton? Andrea, Niagara Falls. Carrie, Nebraska. Sandra from Aurelia. And Cecilia from sunny Sudbury. And that's true. Nick from our staff. And someone there, Lisa Marie. Marcia from Mexico. Hola. Wendy from Markham. And our friend Kevin, Oshawa, Georgie, Halifax, Nova Scotia, Chantal, Ottawa. Sandy from Fergus Falls, Minnesota. Christine, good morning. Yolande, bonjour. And Mary B. from the Cape. Sharon, Kansas. Laurie from Niagara Falls. Jeanette, bonjour. Rose from Peterborough. And I think that was Diane. Nancy, Iowa. And Jeanette, our staff. Karen, Coldwater. And it would be cold this morning. You get bonjour from Hearst. Janie, Simcoe, Gary, Bolton. Jean, Peterborough. And see, I missed it. It gets up in the cloud. I can't see it. Shelley from Baxter. Dorothy, if it gets into that white, Mary, in that stethoscope there. Olive, how are you? Francis from Vaughan, good morning. Couple of more. Kathy, Simcoe, Vera, Newfoundland. And you see, it got there. I couldn't see it. Mary. And it gets in there fast. Nativity. Fran. Terrace, British Columbia. Donna, Bell Valley. And Maria, Ottawa. Okay. Two more. Rita. And Linda. Oh, those Lindas. We love them dearly. Evangeline, good morning. Okay. Couple of, let's go through some studies here. And let me just see here. I've got one, two. One's an article on cholesterol and statins. And why don't we do that? One on magnesium. One on oral health, brush your teeth. Okay, and I'll tell you why. I don't even know why. And you know what? I yesterday, because I talked about inflammation yesterday, because there was a good question asked about inflammation. What's the difference between acute inflammation or even chronic in a knee? Okay, you got a bad knee and it's been sore. Well, anytime you have pain, you got inflammation. Okay, if you got pain in a joint, or muscle or whatever, you got inflammation in there. And that's your body's ambulance system to heal. Now, for a long time, inflammation staying in an area becomes chronic and damaging. It'll damage that joint if it doesn't go away. Okay? But what we're talking about, chronic inflammation. Okay, so let me just go over that very quickly. It's always good to, it's the body's response to something it doesn't like. Now, you can get inflammation, like all autoimmune diseases, create an inflammatory response in the body because something triggers your immune system from turning on to something that it shouldn't be turned on to. Okay, so that we call that autoimmune. The body actually is turning on itself, but there's something it doesn't like. A lot of times, this is why I always start with leaky gut. Any autoimmune, I start with leaky gut. Why do I do that? Because that's where it starts. Things get into the bloodstream that the body doesn't like. And it over responds to that. And that's what we call autoimmune. Okay, now, okay, the body's response to something it doesn't like. And, you know, Tony Jr., I remember this was how many years ago now? Gotta be 15, 20 years ago. He said, Dad, that is disease without a fever. Yeah, I like that. Like a fever is on your side, right? You get a fever. Well, your body is trying to fight a bacteria or virus. It's your body's immune response. It's actually good for you. A fever is on your side. But inflammation is a disease without a fever. So heart disease, cancer, they don't have fevers. Your body temperature is not going up. So inflammation, chronic, is disease without a fever. Now, again, let me just say one more thing. Inflammation's not Houdini, okay? It just doesn't show up out of nowhere. Something is going on within the body, okay? And this is what I meant to do yesterday, but I got sidetracked on these questions. Here are the signs, okay? And then I'll give you some blood tests. I already talked about it yesterday, but let's review a few more, okay? Now, here are the signs that you have you have inflammation in the body. What are the signs? Chronic fatigue. Inflammation will drain you. Okay? It's chronic, but it will drain your energy pretty well. Swelling, yeah. Joint pain, possibly. Gut issues, big time. Brain fog, very common. Skin issues, yes. Puffy face, depression, all can be signs. It can be signs of other things too, obviously. But the underlying thing is you can have an inflammation and it's no longer on your side. Inflammation is on your side if you hurt yourself. If you have a virus or a bacteria, inflammation's on your side. It's the body's ambulance system. But if that don't go away, okay? Causes, lack of sleep. Some say gluten. I'm not necessarily a big gluten schmooten guy. I'm more of carbohydrates, overload, seed oils, because it elevates omega-6 compared to your omega-3. A sedentary lifestyle. You don't move enough. Okay? Stress. Sugar. Creates an inflammatory response. Okay. Let me just give you a couple of blood tests quickly. You guys know this one. The number one test that you want to do for inflammation is CRP, C-reactive protein. If that is elevated, okay, then you know you have inflammation in the body. Now, if you have an infection going on, your CRP is going to go up. So I'm talking chronic inflammation. CRP is my number one test. I like ESR, your sedimentation rate. That's red blood cells. A test they'll do if they go to the bottom of the test tube and are after an hour and are sticky down there. They call that the sedimentation rate. that will be elevated in inflammation. So will ferritin. And here's one. Often doctors don't do this one. They should do it. It's called homocysteine. Now that's an amino acid test. And we call that the smoke, okay? Not the fire, but the CRP would be the fire. Homocysteine would be the smoke from the fire. And you can measure that. If your homocysteine is high, then you've probably got inflammation. And you know what lowers homocysteine? B12. B12. That should tell you something about, here's another one, okay? And I tell you to get this all the time. Get this done. It's worth it, even if you have to pay for it. I'm telling you, it's an investment. Get your vitamin D levels checked, because if your vitamin D is low, you could almost bet your boots that you got inflammation going on in your body. A silent inflammation. And I like A1C because if you have insulin resistance, your cells are sick and tired of insulin, that creates inflammation in your body. And remember, that's the one thing you can do. Cut the stinking carbs out or down, and the sugars, and your A1C will get better. A1C gets better, and usually get your triglycerides to get better too. Anyway, that's another topic, okay? I just wanted to go over that. Okay. Now, I am going to bring you this morning, and I've got a couple of others, but let's just do this one first. And it's an article that was in Psychology Today. Okay, written by a Dr. E.D.E. She's a Harvard-trained psychiatrist, and she wrote this article on statins pose a significant risk to mental health. Psychology Today. Okay, statins pose a significant risk to mental health is the article. Okay. Where do you find, here's what she says, okay? I just broke this down for you. Here's the article, and here's the bullet points from the article, okay? Where do you find the most cholesterol in all your body? Where? Okay? Let me see. Marilyn says she loves Dr. Eid. Is that how you say it? Edie or Eid? Where do you find, Cheryl says the liver. Cecilia says the brain. It's the brain. Chantal, you're right. Okay. And guys, you get a lot, you can have a lot, your cholesterol, a lot of it is made in the liver. Right? But your brain, even though it's 2% of your body weight, contains 20% of your total cholesterol. And cholesterol in the brain really helps your cells in your brain cells, they need cholesterol. It gives the cell its firmness, the membrane. And cholesterol number 2 in the brain brings, it protects your myelin sheath. Your nerves, it's a protective substance. Okay? And cholesterol is really important even in the brain. You know why? For vitamin D. It helps to synthesize vitamin D. Vitamin D, by the way, is a hormone. It really isn't a vitamin. It's a hormone. We classify it as a vitamin, but it's a hormone. Your body don't work properly without vitamin D, and we know that. Okay? We know that. On this program, sun, steak, and steel. Okay, now, Um, here's what she says in the article too. On the package, okay, of the medication. So when you get a medication at a pharmacy, they print out, you know, the how to take it and whatever, and then they tell you about the side effects of it. And I'm just going to read what Dr. Eid put. All statins, okay, this is what she said. All statins cross the blood-brain barrier. Is that good? That's not good. That's a problem. You don't want to lower cholesterol in your brain. Here's on the package. Possible cognitive impairment, memory loss, forgetfulness, amnesia, and confusion. Okay? Now don't come after me. The FDA made them put that on their inserts. Statin drugs. Here's what she says. Okay? Now tell me if this sounds familiar. Okay? Tell me if this sounds familiar. Okay? Cholesterol is an innocent bystander. I like that. Cholesterol's not the bad guy. It's, like Tony Jr. loves to say, the thyroid got framed for something it didn't do. I like that. Okay? And cholesterol gets blamed for something it didn't do. It gets blamed for heart disease. You know my expressions. Blaming cholesterol for heart disease is like blaming the police because they're at the crime scene. They're not the bad guy. Or it's like blaming the firemen at a fire. They're not the bad guy. They're just trying to help. Cholesterol's on your side. And here's what she's saying in the article. You don't have a cholesterol problem. You have a sugar problem. Oh, sugar. That's very damaging to the brain, says Dr. Eid. Okay? Okay. Now, here's another thing that she says in the article. I kind of like this stuff. She said, making cholesterol is hard work. It takes over 30 enzymes working to make cholesterol. And she says, why don't you do your part? Okay? She said, look, okay, you can live. Your body will make cholesterol, guys. Okay? Your body will make cholesterol. Make 75% of the cholesterol. You're supposed to, 85%. You're supposed to contribute 15%. If you don't, you're not going to just drop dead on the spot. But you're making your body work a whole lot harder to keep up to the cholesterol demands. Cholesterol is only found in the animal kingdom. That's why the world out there, the stupidity out there, is trying to get us to stop eating eggs, meat, and cheese. Dr. Martin, it's so acidic. You don't know what you're talking about. Okay? Red meat and colon cancer. Debunked. Debunked. You want to have your plants? Enjoy. But don't tell me they're the best food in the world, because they're not. Okay? And Dr. Eid agrees with me. She says, why don't you help out your body? By making eating cholesterol so your body can relax a little bit. I like that. Okay? And she says, man, like, I don't know what she even thinks about statins in a way. To me, it's pretty obvious. She don't like them. And guys, you must admit, I am very consistent. I have never liked them. I go back. This is my 50th year. Okay. In natural health. 50 years. I always thought, what are they talking about? Like cholesterol. It's not the boogeyman. I never liked that. The whole premise bothered me. You got to remember, when I graduated, even before, you know what was hitting the shelves? Margarine. Don't eat butter, margarine. It's so much better for you because there's no cholesterol. You'll lower your cholesterol by eating margarine. I hated that. From the beginning, I used to scream, that ain't true. Margarine, your body don't even know what it is. Your body says, what did you do? What are you eating? What is that stuff? Oh yeah, but it doesn't have any cholesterol. I know. That's what makes it stupid. Butter, cheese, meat, eggs, they have cholesterol. That's what makes them so good. And all the other things that are in them. I get a migraine. Okay? Couple of statements that she makes, okay? I like them, and I might adopt a few of these here. Guilt by association for heart disease. Cholesterol is an innocent bystander, and she says, you don't have a cholesterol problem, you have a sugar problem. And this is what I've been telling you for eons of years. What you gotta worry about when it comes to your heart are triglycerides and low cholesterol. That's what you gotta worry about. And you make triglycerides when you're a carboholic, a sugarholic. That's how you make triglycerides. Fat balls. Now, don't hold your breath. Even though a highly recognized psychiatrist trained at Harvard, says these things because it won't become mainstream. Actually, she wrote a book on depression, mental health. This article was in Psychology Today. But she's actually written a book on mental health. I like it. You need cholesterol. Cholesterol's on your side. It's not the bad guy. Okay. Rinse and repeat. Rinse and repeat. I guess, like I told someone the other day, I do not go past a week without bringing you something on cholesterol. Okay? It could be because it's so important. Okay. I think along the same lines, because we're talking about meat. Somebody asked me again, and it'll come up. Just about every week I see it. Dr. Martin, what about nitrates or nitrites? Okay? What about nitrates and nitrites? That, they, hey, listen, my wife's Italian, okay? Antipasto, right? Those meats, like salami. I love that stuff. Don't you? Capicola. Don't you love that? I love those meats. My father-in-law used to make the Italian meats himself. We go in the basement at his place and you knock yourself out with a ring of these meats coming down from the ceiling. Okay. And we used to just die for that. And my wife grew up with that. What about the nitrates? I hear that every week. Who cares? They're good for you. They're not bad for you. Hey, celery has nitrates. Is celery bad for you? That's how they make most of the nitrates. It comes from celery. It's a powder. It preserves the meat. Are they bad? Well, they got a bad rap. And this study shows, okay, they are naturally made, even in our bodies make nitrates and nitrites. Helps to preserve you, just like meat. No, you know what nitrates convert to? Nitric oxide. Have you heard that before? Nitric oxide is on your side. It relaxes your blood vessels. It's good for your immune system. You see commercials on TV for beets. Right? Have you seen those? It elevates your nitric oxide. Oh, that's a good thing. I like pine bark even better. Okay. Eat your salami. Eat your bacon. Oh, Dr. Martin, I look for a brand without nitrites. Why do you do that? Why? They're good for you. It's celery powder. It's not bad for you. Anyway, I like to push back because, look, I want to be questioned, guys, okay? So don't think for 1 second I don't appreciate when people say, Doc, what about this? I heard it's no good. What about that? I hear it's bad for you. What about this? I like that. Don't worry. Be happy. Ask questions. It's much appreciated. Okay, one more, okay? Just on pine bark, because I got it right in front of me. I'm reading it now. Pine bark, new study on atherosclerosis. It significantly lowers the risk of atherosclerosis. And you know why? Because it elevates your nitric oxide. Plus, it's got two things. One, it elevates your nitric oxide. What is nitric oxide? Your blood vessels relax and open up. Elevates nitric oxide. So does vitamin D, by the way. You get vitamin D and you make nitric oxide. How can that be bad for you? Oh, I should tell you about another study on vitamin D. I'll do that tomorrow. And here's what they're saying, okay, on pine bark. 2 ways. One, it elevates your nitric oxide. How does it help in atherosclerosis? helps the blood vessels relax. 2, because it is such a powerful antioxidant, it protects the blood vessels, especially the endothelial level, the Teflon, on the inside of your blood vessels. The slippery are supposed to be slippery Teflon. You want your blood vessels to be slippery so that blood doesn't coagulate, doesn't stick. And when plaque is there, that's what forms in atherosclerosis. It's calcified. That's why I don't like you even taking calcium supplements. I don't like calcium. Eat your calcium. Because when you eat calcium from the animal kingdom, you get vitamin K2 with it. And K2 takes calcium and puts it where it belongs. Okay? Okay. Pine bark. Navitol. The best pine bark in the world. Lowers significantly the risk of atherosclerosis. I like that. I've been using that for over 30 years. Over 30 years. Geez, I'm getting old. Okay, guys. We love you dearly. And I mean it, okay? We love you dearly. Friday is what? Question and answer Friday. Ask your questions. Make comments, guys. I want you to ask. Don't be shy. I'll never laugh at your questions, okay? I'll never laugh at you. Never. I'll laugh with you, though. I like laughing. Laughter is merry medicine. The Bible tells us that. Laugh. You know what? I'm a senior, so I have to laugh at myself several times a day. Okay, because I go, oh my word. How did I forget that? Okay. Guys, we love you dearly. We'll talk to you soon.